It's 5:30 a.m. in LA and Vancouver. It's 8:30 a.m. in New York. Good morning to our colleagues in the US and Canada. It's 1:30 p.m. in London, 2:30 p.m. in Europe. Good afternoon to our friends in Europe. It's 7 p.m. in India, 9:30 p.m. in Singapore. Good evening to our colleagues in Asia. And at 12:30 a.m., it's well past bedtime for our colleagues in Australia. Namaste, a very warm welcome to friends from across the globe. I'm Anupam Sibal. I'm the current president of the Global Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, or GAPIO. I work as a pediatric gastroenterologist and I'm the group medical director of the Apollo Hospitals Group. GAPIO aims to bring together 1.4 million physicians of Indian origin on one platform. GAPIO now has members in 54 countries. International Women's Day was first celebrated in 1911. The day marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. The father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, had said, "A man can never be a woman's equal in the spirit of selfless service with which nature has endowed her." We see examples of this every day. The Apollo transplant program is the world's busiest solid organ transplant program. We do more than 1,200 kidney, liver transplants a year. And while 30% of the patients who receive a transplant are women, guess what? 60% of the donors are women. 30% of those who get a transplant are women, but 60% of donors are women. And it's a mother, a grandmother, a daughter, a wife, a sister who comes forward and donates her kidney or half her liver. According to Dr. Melanie Greenberg, a clinical psychologist who specializes in women's health, women tend to identify with the caretaker role. So many women are raised to put others' needs before their own, and when they do put themselves first, they feel guilty about it. This must change. Shirley Sandberg, in a book Lean In, wrote, "Careers are more like jungle gyms than ladders. Aim for the top, but be flexible in your route. There is a far There is far more to life than climbing a career ladder, including raising children, seeking personal fulfillment, contributing to society, and improving the lives of others." Men marvel at how women can juggle multiple roles and responsibilities because men can only do one thing at a time, and that too, not to the satisfaction of women at work or at home. Welcome to the session on leadership mantras as we celebrate the International Women's Day. When we think about leadership, several questions come to mind. Are leaders born or are they created? How crucial is emotional intelligence? What virtues are essential for leadership? How important is it to be an extrovert? How important is feedback? How do leaders manage failure? How do they handle conflict? To find answers to some of these questions, we have with us stellar leaders today who shall share with us their leadership mantras and more. Let me first introduce Ms. Sunitha Reddy. Ms. Sunitha is the managing director of the Apollo Hospitals Group, India's largest private healthcare provider. A member of the founding family, she started working with Apollo Hospitals in 1989. Under her stewardship, Apollo Hospitals has emerged as a forerunner of integrated healthcare in Asia. The group has touched the lives of more than 200 million individuals from 140 countries. With a market cap of 8.8 billion US dollars, Apollo Hospitals Group is now a part of Nifty 50. I'd like to invite Ms. Sunitha Reddy to give her opening remarks. Ms. Sunitha, please.
Thank you, Anupam. And so good to be with this illustrious panel. It's always a pleasure. Oh, sorry, I'm hearing some echo. Is there a problem with the sound?
No, we are good. We're good.
Okay. No, it's always, a pleasure to be sitting with other women and to have a man as a moderator, a man who appreciates the work that we do. But truly, I think it would be a successful Women's Day if we had all the real doctors who are part of your GAPIO listening to us today, and that for me defines success. Because if you look beyond the common leader, when we look beyond the common teacher, or we when we're looking for a doctor, we always look for the uncommon because we want the best. And I think being a woman, we've learned how to bring out the best in all of us. So, being from the healthcare background, I'd like to say if you look at your own biology, I think that all of us have the same brains as men. We have the right side, which is our logical thinking, and the left side, which is creative thinking. And and really, we have the same brains as a man, but somehow we perform better. And how do I define performance? Performance is clearly about the ability to do what Leonardo da Vinci did. It's about using numbers and logic and blending it with creativity, to look at the abstract, to look at design thinking to solve the problems of today. This is what we as women can do, and we as women can do well. And I believe this comes to us quite naturally, because while we have the same brain, it's the collective mosaic of life experiences that gives us this angle of passion, compassion, and intuitivity. And this is really the sixth sense that we as women have. So I think we as women leaders should really use this sixth sense, because it's what defines us as successful leaders. Beyond that, I'd just like to go back to how we rose to leadership positions. I believe that the way that people measure us is first to look at our performance, and we started really way down in the ranks. I remember being in college and deciding on the name for Apollo. Much of the time, the first day I joined work, the CFO said, you're just here because you're the boss's daughter. And it made me feel extremely bad. So I went back and did a diploma in finance and capital structuring and in treasury management. So knowledge is very important. If you want people to respect you, you must have the knowledge. If you want people to trust you as a leader, you must have the knowledge. And you must also perform. You should be a person who could lead from the front. So if the organization is working 12 hours a day, you should be there for the rest of the organization. And I believe performance and trust are two important metrics. The third metric is really all about governance and measuring the metric. So we look at, all of us sit and look at budgets, and for many, especially the medical directors, it must be very, very tiresome to see us do this. But we're not just looking at budgets. For us, we're looking at clinical outcomes, and each business has a different metric. So for digital, for example, it's the number of downloads. It is For each industry, I would say that for telecom, it's ARPU. So you have different metrics, and you use metrics. I use metrics for governance more than anything else, and I use metrics to see that people are on track, because the best way to deal with people is really to have facts and to deal with it scientifically rather than use hurt another person's ego. So governance and dealing with numbers is something that comes quite naturally to me. I would say the third important thing about leadership is really to have that the ability to trust, because we are only successful if our team is successful. And we can only, when each member of the team says, feels successful, then are we successful. So for me, it's a very outside in approach. It's all about the team success. And as a company now, it's an expanded focus to see that all of our stakeholders feel that they have been successful. So when we look at, many people talk to me about investment bankers coming to Apollo, and they ask me how do they feel so successful, and how is it that every time you raise money, you have the ability to raise so much. It's truly because we make them successful. Employees stay with us because they feel that they have a successful journey, that we look after not just their their livelihood, but we look after their health, we care for their families. And it's about the way you treat the bankers, it's the way you work with the government. It's always all of us together, we're in this. It's an outside in approach, it's not me at the center. And I think the shift in focus is something that is one of the lessons that I have learned over this decade, and especially during COVID, when we really had to work together. I listened, and I listen with an open mind, because solutions emerge from the most unexpected of places. Sometimes it's actually person that you fear the most, the government civil servant who's telling you, "Don't worry, I can help you handle it." But listening and listening with an open mind is something that has really been part of Apollo's success. That we have the ability to work with people, to listen, and to bring on the next generation. This is where innovation is very important. At healthcare field, like every other field, is evolving dramatically, and especially post COVID, there is a renaissance of ideas. It's happening in entertainment, where I know Ekta is going to talk about this, but it's happening in entertainment, it's happening in finance, it's happening in the way healthcare is delivered. We are passionate about innovation, and I set time aside each day, and I do this with a rigor because I make it part of my routine that I do every month. We've invested in a fund in Singapore, and part of this fund is that we invest in healthcare startups. So I find it extremely exciting to look at what the future of healthcare will be. I think never being comfortable with what you are today and the goals you achieve today is part of the reason that we can be leaders, that we have the ability to see into the future. Yes, we cannot be Nostradamus, and we are not crystal ball gazing, but we are looking at what the younger generation are doing, and we see the potential for change in everything that we do. Um, my team is an important part of my success. The ability to empower people is something, even when we look at our organization structure and we review it often. I keep telling people in the corporate that our success is lies in the success of each of the CEOs, because India is not just one country, it is many countries represented by a single name, India, Bharat. But working in each of the states is a different play, from the way you recruit doctors to the language you speak, from the way you price, from the way you look at communities and the way you engage with communities. I'd like to say that success for me is not just about me. It's about Apollo being successful. I never wanted um, to be, I never wanted a Padma Shri, and I really never worked towards any award. It's always a surprise when they come there, when it comes our way. But it's the same thing I've realized, that in our when you do something good, when you contribute to society, people recognize you. And if it pays dividends in terms of profit, if it pays dividends in terms of giving you the license to do so much more, I think we have to be able to have a great sense of gratitude. I'm grateful for being part of this wonderful organization, and I'm grateful for being an Indian, because this is a land of opportunities, and this is probably the space where there are many case studies. Harvard did 3 case studies on Apollo, and I studied in Harvard, so I was fortunate. But they didn't do it because of me; they did it because of Apollo. And in one of those case studies, they said that this is first world healthcare at emerging market prices, and I think that had a lot of meaning. That we were able to create and innovate the world class healthcare at 1/10 of the price. This is leadership in healthcare, and this is what defines us. The fact that we create value for everyone who comes our way. Today, people from 147 countries come to us, but they come not for me, they come for a service, they come for a value, they come for our doctors, they come for our teams. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that the combined intelligence of the panel is something that I'm proud to be part of. Thank you for being here today, and I wish you all a wonderful Women's Day. But I'd really like to end with something that inspired me. So when I thought of how should we end this session, I said there was this thing written by Maya Angelou, who's really, really a famous writer. And she said this. She said, Maya Angelou said, My mission in life is not merely to survive. My mission is but it's not just to thrive, but to do so with passion and to do so with some compassion and to do so with humor and some style. So I wish you all style. I hope that you do it in your own style because I know that all of you will succeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Sunita. And talking about style, I'll let you in on a secret because I've known Miss Sunita now for 25 years. She reads so much, and her favorite mode, should I say, of education or entertainment is actually watching TED Talks. And I think she's seen more TED Talks than anybody I know. And with that, she brings so many different ideas. And as you said, Miss Sunita, we are all so proud to be Indians. This next decade is ours. If we just look at how we handled COVID, 50% of the world's COVID vaccines in the world, the whole world, are going to be made in India. 40% of generics in the US, 25% of all medicines in the United Kingdom are going to be made in India. And I think together we can make a huge difference. And we have a young nation that really looks up to leaders like you. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm now going to invite I'm going to now invite Ekta. Ekta, thank you so much for joining us. And I know you're in Turkey and you have a flight to catch. Really appreciate your taking time out. Ekta is the daughter of well-known actor Jitendra ji and Shobha Kapoor ji. As we all know, she's a famous television producer, film producer, and a director. She's the joint managing director and creative head of Balaji Telefilms Limited that every Indian is so familiar with. Balaji Telefilms were founded in 1994. She has created and produced more than, hold your breath, 130 Indian soap operas and 42 movies. Now, isn't that amazing for someone Ekta's age? And she was honored with the Padam Shri in 2020. Ekta, it's an absolute delight to have you here. And I'd like you to share with our global audience your leadership mantras. Unmute yourself, please, Ekta.
Thank you so much for having me on this August panel, and it's my absolute pleasure to share my experiences. And I feel I'm a bit overwhelmed with the fantastic women I'm sharing this forum with. But happy Women's Day to you all, and it is a great moment to say this that most women that I have probably admired are now on this panel. Um, if I had to speak about my leadership mantras, I would be starting with a simple understanding that I started off at the age of 17. There wasn't much I was going to do, and I navigated through life because the biases that we face, we don't even realize, actually make us stronger. So when I started off, I was told that, I'm clearly born to a famous man. Why am I starting this company with my mom's name and my name? I mean, I should constantly capitalize on my father's name, and this company should be Jitendra Kapoor and Ekta Kapoor, and you should like piggy bank on your father's name. And I was like, here's my mom. She's left her home. She was a housewife. We borrowed our dad's garage, and she has from doing household expenses decided to take on the production reins of my company. And I am just a new producer making content. And why can't mothers and daughters start companies together? So that was the beginning of my company, and it was Shobha Kapoor and Ekta Kapoor, and people thought we were a bit ditzy to do that, but that was our decision because there was my mom and me starting off. Today, and I'd like to say this, that while the company and the share prices are high and people talk about the amount of shows we produce, very few people know that the transition from being a homemaker to a production executive was probably because of being a homemaker. And my mom today is considered the probably the best production executive in the country. Like, people come to her for advice on how to make cost effective content, at the best possible quality. So these while we can discuss big high points of the company, if I had to discuss just the basics of a success mantra, I personally think there is no mantra. There is no leadership that comes from leading from the front. Your passion should be in the front, and your leadership should be that you lead from behind. While you let people grow and empower them in your company, they should know that you are behind them. So we, me and mom, are complete believers of leadership from the behind. Leading the company as far as taking it to taking a risk is very, very important for us. But what is even more important is to empower. I mean, we probably had an industry where there were very few female producers. The lens was completely male in movies, and television brought out the lens of women. I mean, if you hear the male icons, it was always Mr. Bachchan and my dad and many other actors, and television actually created female characters. So while there was constant noise on how this industry formulated and how television became this women-led medium, it's interesting to know that we are now today sitting in a country where television has. Excuse me, I'm on a call. So, television probably has the maximum female producers, and it's almost like all the creative heads, all the writers, 70% of the behind the scenes talent is women. Um, I feel while digital growth has come in and we have had a digital explosion in the last 2 years due to COVID, we are still a country where there are going to be three types of entertainment and nobody is going to cannibalize each other's market. There was a lot of talk about films going out of fashion because there is digital content, but it's like saying that you stop eating outside if you make good food at home. So in the next few years we will see films becoming bigger, experience oriented extravaganzas, digital entertainment catering to individualistic viewing patterns, and TV catering to family viewing patterns. What you watch with your family in a hall is very different than what you will consume on your mobile. And as time passes, all three audience will eat out of each other instead of cannibalizing each other. When this explosion happens, an individual taste will take the front. There will be enough, and it is half the population, enough of content created just for women. While TV created content for women, women were very conscious of what they watched because their husbands and families were sitting right there. Now that problem will go away because you can watch content alone, and you're not going to be judged for what you watch. And I think the digital explosion, while it will be huge for the business and it'll be great for all content providers, women entrepreneurs will go, but the creative talent and the women, female creators who felt that they wanted to tell stories of women who didn't toe the line, who broke barriers, who did things that made a mark in history, found that they were constantly judged when they were put into television because television was full of idealistic characters. That is going to change with the digital explosion. Women will consume content where they will see characters that they watch alone and probably share with their daughters, women older than them, their mothers, and then probably the mental mindset change is going to be unheard of. In a couple of years we will find a lot more decision making. When we had the lens change from film to television and women came in, women started taking a lot of interest in their homes. And I think that my own leadership mantra or my own leadership understanding is every medium that brings a change in the mindset of women or helps them grow or progress takes half the population ahead with it. So I think Balaji has taken a stand. We've decided to create a lot of content for women on our app. We have a lot of female employees. We create a very healthy environment. I myself am a single mother, so we have a crush in the office for all women to work. We want to stand up there and tell stories about women by women. I personally am involved with a thing called Indian Women Rising, which is a collective that supports young women with their young uh, with movies and their productions to distribute it worldwide. Me and Guneet Monga and Tahira Kashyap were founders of this initiative. And I think it's time now. Balaji is going to go into a whole new domain of reality television where we've taken a female anchor because we felt that a lot of anchors were male on television, and we took Kangna Ranaut. And the recent numbers are unheard of. This show we've launched called Lockup has broken all numbers on digital on MX. So I think the time is now, and the time future is female. But more than the future being female, it is women not only taking the lead in making decisions. It's about knowing that the world is going to have far more female creators than it ever had because of the digital explosion. And I'm myself looking forward to this. I think I'll have to excuse myself because I have to run to the airport, but it's been fantastic being here.
Thank you so much, Ekta.
Thank you so
Truly,
much.
truly fascinating. And for all those ladies out there, if you're a mom, please partner with your daughter. And if you're a daughter, please find your mom and see the magic Ekta and Shovaji created. And there it is for you. You've broken so many barriers. Honestly, you've set the bar so high. But with the words that you shared today, I'm sure there are going to be so many women out there who are going to be inspired and are going to follow in your footsteps. Thank you.
Thank you
Safe
so much.
travels and really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
this.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
It's now my privilege to introduce Miss MC Mericom. She's the only female boxer to have won 6 world championship titles in boxing and the only Indian female boxer to win a medal in the 2012 London Olympics. She was the only Indian woman boxer to qualify for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. She's been honored with the Padam Shri, the Padam Bhushan, the Padam Vibhushan. And after a career of 20 years, the mother of 4 children is still unstoppable and eager to win the first ever gold medal in boxing for our country. She's been ranked number 4 in the AIBA World Women's Ranking in flyweight category. She is a nominated member of the Rajya Sabha. Miss Mary Kom. She's actually away in Himachal, and we managed to record this, and here it is. But thank you so much. Really appreciate your taking time out for us, and you have inspired so many people across the world. So we're really delighted to have you. The question that I had for you was, what are your leadership mantras? You've been a leader for so many years and have conquered so many different battlefields. So what are your personal leadership mantras?
Mantra, yes. If I'm um, talking about this mantra, actually, I don't know how to how to explain. Um, if I say that I don't have any mantra, but I have that patience. We can call that patience brings me that level, that is very much important. And even, yes, that patience plus hard work. uh, Even initially was, if I talk about little bit for the journey of mine, how tough is that, how tough is that, how challenging is that. That was so difficult, so bad, even becoming from humble background and pursuing our, just want to pursue something in my life that is so tough, so difficult. But if we accept the challenges, then I think we can do whatever we want. And even the parents support also, it's very important, it's very needed. Without parent support, I don't think I can able to achieve, and yes, there is so many story about on me. I will not take much time convince to the parents to allow me to play so and so for my career and all. I just want to pursue something like, So that is so much obstacle in my life. I don't know. Today I won't finish if I'm talking about, about my mantra. What is that will? If I'm talking mantra, then that willpower, mentally strong willpower, both physically, mentally, it's very strong. I am very rich on that. That is, I can say, it's my mantra.
No, that's so interesting, because the people say that you need to be motivated, but you can have the motivation, but the motivation will go unless you have the willpower to follow through. And I think that's what you highlighted, that that ability to overcome the obstacles, the patience, because results will not come immediately. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, but having that willpower of not giving up and pushing through. And I think you mentioned something, though in an indirect way, when you thank your parents, it's a lot about gratitude, because if you recognize gratitude, as they say, record gratitude and reciprocate gratitude, many doors open. So thank you so much for sharing that. What I wanted to ask you was, how does one keep oneself motivated? There have been moments in your life. There are moments in everyone's life when everything's going well, and then suddenly things don't go well, and then you start to feel low, and then you say, hey,
Yeah,
how is it that I'm going to achieve what I thought I
yeah.
will? And so how do you keep yourself motivated? What are the tips that you have in terms of keeping that spirit up?
Well, yeah, even I have already medals, that if we count, I have number of, medals in my hand. Mm, so many numbers of medals in my hand, but I don't know, I never think to give up. I, whatever it's come in my mind, it's never to give up. uh, if I say today, God is so kind for me. Even when I was not able to perform very well, yes, sometimes I lost many competition also, but I never think about to give up. I only have I only have hungerness, and hungerness, I don't know how it's come. Even sometimes I could not able to, sometimes I could not able to digest also when I lost some about particularly Olympic last time, the Tokyo Olympic was, if I say particularly about that I lost. And even though I don't know, after winning 2 rounds also, how can I lose? I can't digest myself at all. And yes, after getting down from the that match, I doesn't realize at all. I was thinking I'm winning. After, at least I think I realized that after to 10 to 15 minutes, I saw one notification, tweet by Kiran sir, Kiran Rizu sari tweet, and I saw it. Suddenly I realized, oh really, I I can't believe that, and how I react inside the ring. I doesn't know anything what's going, and what I react, such kind of things and all. This life in life, so many up and down going, yes, and I motivate, like, I don't know other girls are doing or not doing, but what I have in my experience, the reality, I just want to tell you, I always positive, all the time positive. Yeah, one time it's gone, and one time that's loss is not, it will come not again and again, not every day. You know, that always I think, and I always positive. Then next time I can do it, and I can prove myself. I can prove myself. I will show it again. Who am I actually as a human? Like, as a mother, yeah, I have a lot of challenges in my life. I accept everything. Before marriage, I have that challenge also. It's not easy task, and after the marriage also not easy task. After having a baby also, it's not easy task. Competing Olympic, like higher category is also not easy task. There are so many challenges I face in my life, but uh, I always do that motivation myself, like, Mary, you can, and you are the only one woman you can, show, or can be example in our country. And that's really give me to stress myself, and to prove. If I don't prove, other women will not do that. Other women will not follow that. They will not, they will not come. I mean, they will not coming back again. There are so many girls I know, after marriage, or after having a birth, and give up. They leave their job, or they quit or something. There are so many women I have seen, I heard, and the stories is kind of, they have faced difficulties, painful, hardship. So even I also facing the same. I train, and I look after my family, all the responsibility, and there are so many basic activities. Whenever I am home, I'm doing everything, but all the time I'm trying to make myself happy, keep listening music. Yes, when I am tired, fatigue, or tension or something like, and I love listening music, and I love singing a song at home. That's extra energy I got. So for myself, I'm trying to motivate, and to stress myself to prove something. To If I don't prove, I don't think other must be other girl can able to do or not. What I want is, I want to become an example for all the women.
That's so beautiful. That hunger you say that you have. So when the chips are down, you remind yourself of the hunger that you can do it. And I think what you said here, that you want to be an example and motivate girls, that if you can do it, they can do it. You've gone through challenging circumstances. You've met so many obstacles. You came from very far away, a small place, and did what you've done, so they can. And I think what your example highlights is that it's not just about running a family, having children, but I think the physical effort that entails in your profession, that you've had to go through, is grueling. I mean, people shudder from taking a 40-minute walk and saying, oh no, I have to manage the house and the kids and my job and my boss and my projects and my assignments. And there you are, when you get into that full-time physical training. It's absolutely grueling, and you're still able to do that. So you truly inspirational, how you juggle this and how you multitask. And we are so proud of all that you've done and all that you've achieved. And we are certain that example is going to inspire a lot of ladies, lots of girls, lots of women today. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Mary. That was wonderful. It is now a privilege for me to introduce Dr. Alka Mittal. Alka ji is someone that women in the country look up to. She is the chairman and managing director of Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, ONGC, India's national oil company. She is the first woman to head India's most valuable oil and gas public sector enterprise. She is the chairman of the ONGC group of companies which dominate exploration and production and have a significant presence in refining, petrochemicals, power, and renewables. She graduated in economics, has an MBA and a doctorate in commerce and business studies in the specialized area of corporate governance. As we all know, she has a huge responsibility, and the crisis in Ukraine and ONGC's assets in Russia have added on to that pressure. The last 2 weeks have been really hard, but Alkaji still found time for us. Thanks ever so much. Alkaji, I want to ask you to share your leadership mantras with us.
Greetings to all those who have connected across different time zones, and special thanks to GAPIO for having me over. It's a wonderful thing, and thanks Anupam ji for including me in this distinguished panel of speakers. Just listening to Sunita ji and then Mary Com and of course Ekta was very interesting and very exciting, and I'm looking forward to the next speaker Anupma too. But while I would like to share my mantra, I would like to, since I know the organization represents doctors, physicians across globe, I would like to place on record my gratitude to the medical fraternity, beginning with the March of 2020, the kind of global crisis we have been through. It's just because of you all that we are here talking about what 2 years have done to us, to the mankind. And when I talk about it, I would also like to touch on the fact that at ONGC, where though a global oil and gas company, we are present in different corners of India as well, and the remotest of corners where health facilities are minimal. And while our patients keep coming to Apollo and other good hospitals which are there in different areas, we still have presence where in areas where only our doctors were able to help our colleagues. And one doctor who was at Delhi, who was coordinating for all the movement of our crew members from different parts of the country to the offshore and onshore locations, was Dr. Pankaj Agarwal, Dr. Pankaj Kumar, who was with us till June 2020. He was sitting in front of me. We were discussing about how to make sure that our crew members remain safe. And the next day, I came to know he's admitted at Apollo. Apollo provided him so much support. His family was kept in loop, and he was given the best of treatment. But the destiny had other plans, and we lost him in October. He came out of COVID, but his lungs were badly compromised. So, first of all, I would like to pay tribute to all the physicians, all the doctors who have died, who have passed away during taking care of the those affected by pandemic. That is something which is at the top of my heart when I am talking to all of you today. And I also salute the doctors from ONGC and from all corners of the world who have made sure that others around them remain safe. They have put their own personal health and personal family at a second priority, and they gave priority to their duties as a doctor, and that is something which deserves to be acknowledged. And we were talking about gratitude. I think the highest level of gratitude is due to them. So while I would like to pay regards to all my doctor colleagues at ONGC and across the globe, I would just like to share what I feel are the key to my success as a professional. I am a very simple person. I joined ONGC at the age of 22 and a half, and that was a time when I was like part of the workforce as at executive level, worked in different areas. And what I have seen, like I keep asking myself, what is it that got me here? And what I feel is that particular sincerity of purpose and sincerity in action. If I gave a commitment to someone, whether it was my senior, a junior, or a client, or one of the field personnel from ONGC, if I said that I will ensure that your job is done today, I would not rest till the job is done. So that is something that comes, I have seen it comes naturally to women, and it came as naturally to me also. And while there was sincerity of purpose and action, there was also transparency, If transparency and a level of uh, honesty. If I could not do something, if I knew that I don't agree with someone, I would say it. And that is something which, at that particular point of time, may hurt a person or may not be appreciated. But later on, people understood that here is a person who calls spade a spade. And that helped me in the long run. It was tough. At times, saying no is very difficult, but being able to say it politely and convey the reason for it, the reasoning behind it, is something which makes you more comfortable in your professional life as well as personal life. And that is something I have again learned by practice, I would say. And of course, being collaborative, being a team player is something which comes naturally to us, and I love it when I'm with my team. And there's so much we talk about, so much we plan, and so much we execute. Whether the team is of my colleagues who are working in the HR domain, or the team is of ONGC executive committee or the board members, always when we are together, I think the best comes out of us. And we all give enough space and enough importance to each person who has a point of view. And that is what makes our boardrooms very happening and very comfortable place where lots of good decisions are taken. So this is something which I have practiced always. And I would like to mention again one more point which we have touched upon about being creative. Women naturally are nurturing and very creative in their thoughts. The most creative time of my day is when I go for my morning walks, which I don't miss out on at all, because I feel if I am not feeling well from within, if I am not keeping good health, I'll not be able to take care of my organization. How will my organization be healthy then? So what I do is I always go for a walk, try to go in the open in the garden which is opposite my house. And when I'm there, the most creative thoughts come to my mind. So while I am able to take care of my health, I am also able to come up with the best of ideas, which at times my team members, my colleagues say, "Ye kahan se socha aapne? How did you think of this?" This is it, when you are with yourself in the morning, with the in green environment, there are lots of good thoughts, good ideas that come to you. So that is another thing. And for me, what I have done is I have always worked from my heart. I have taken decisions, looked at things based on my gut and my heart. But when I'm working, I also ensure that I am maintaining some level of detachment. Because what I learned during my journey was that if you start owning everything, at times you get a little biased. And we can't be biased when we are sitting in positions of responsibility. So while I'm working with my heart, I also maintain a level of detachment. If I have to look at something, I look at it critically, and I can be very firm also. I may not shout at people. I don't allow anyone to shout at me also, but I can be very firm. And once I take a particular view about a particular situation, I convey it very, very candidly. And that is what these are a few things which I feel have mattered to me in my professional journey. But I would like to talk about my personal story as well. My maximum support has come from my mom-in-law. I would have loved to share this when Ekta was here. So when we come across stories of women facing challenges, I also see that there are women who are backing up women also. My mother-in-law is a very highly educated person. She has done her post-graduation in Sanskrit. She's done her B.Ed also, but never worked because she knew that her children need her. And that is what, she understands what how much a woman has to struggle to come up as a career person, and she has totally backed me up every time when I achieve something, when I receive a promotion or I get recognized for something. First thing I do is tell my mom-in-law, because she's always there to cheer for me. Besides her, my two girls are the ones who are my cheerleaders, I would say, and my husband. I see the look of pride on his face every time something good happens to me, but he's the one who keeps me grounded too. He will not only appreciate, he will also at times give me a critical analysis of a particular situation, and that keeps me really alert about how I can be the best. I can put up the best for my of myself, for the organization, for the world. So this is it. Anupam ji, I think as I mentioned, it's a simple story, but this is the way I have grown as a professional and as in the organization too. And as I think Ekta was mentioning, that awards never mattered. Same ways, for us, when every time I got a promotion, or I got selected as director HR, or the orders for CMD's role came, I was taken by surprise, because I found so many other people who were very capable to take it on. So I would think that, am I good enough for this? But when I took on the challenge, I have seen I have been able to live up to the expectations, and that is the difference we bring to the role that we take on as women and as professionals. So my message to all the women and all the budding physicians and doctors will be that put your heart in your job, but take care of your health also, because that is actually, health is wealth, and that is what we have to keep targeting again and again. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Alkaji. You say it's a simple story, but it is so heartwarming and so powerful. And some of the messages that came out through your story are indeed remarkable. Today's generation talks about changing jobs every 3 to 5 years. You started at 22 and a half. You spent more than 3 decades in ONGC. Happy. Started as an executive, now the CMD. You talk about calling a spade a spade. You talk about saying no, which very very many people are uncomfortable with. And you talk about the power of gratitude, and really touched by your opening remarks about acknowledging the work done by medical professionals and nursing professionals, healthcare professionals across the globe. And in today's session, because it's International Women's Day, and 90% of nurses in India are women, we also have a lot of nurses who've joined us, and lots of nurses of Indian origin, as you know, work overseas, and they've joined us as well. So I'm sure they were delighted to hear uh, their work being acknowledged by you. And I think the fact that you say that your mother-in-law is the first person you call when you get a promotion is just so beautiful. I want to ask you one more question, which is, conflict management is again very hard. Like you said, it's a bit about detachment, on being really being guided by what is the best for the organization. How do you manage conflict?
I'll just give one instance. Last this was in 21 May. We realized that our unions are waiting for their wage revision, and we were not in a position to have a one-on-one session with the union leaders. So we just planned a online session, which we called as a wage settlement session. And there, 12 union leaders from across different locations were connected. And we started the discussion in the morning at 10 o'clock, and we continued with it till 3 o'clock in the night. So it was after midnight, I would say. And constantly, all this while, during the session, I had conveyed to my colleagues who were on the negotiation table. I was joining off and on, but what I conveyed to them was first listen to all. Because if we don't listen, and that too, we have to have practice deep listening. We have to understand what is touching them, what is bothering them. Because it's not about the money part of it, it's about the sentiment part. Supposing they talk about some kind of allowance to be paid to those who are working in the toughest of areas, it's not about the amount, a few hundred rupees extra which is going to go. It is about acknowledging their contribution. And that is what I saw, that on that day when we were in on listening mode, we could understand their sentiments, and when we started talking, we were touching on those. While the discussion went on for very long, at one point of time, I thought these people must be cursing me that I have asked them all to just listen and not get into any kind of argument with the union leaders or negotiation with them. So I told them that we let us try that we come out with our thoughts only after we have heard them out. And when we did that, around 10 o'clock in the night, I had a discussion with all the board members, including then CMD. I was not CMD that time. I told them this is the way we are progressing, these are the sentiments, and these are the issues we are going to be conveying to them, these are the assurances we are going to give them. And when my colleague, the chief of employee relations, started talking to them, I was kept informed totally through the till the end of the discussion. He touched on those points, and some points we did not even provide a solution to, but still getting heard, knowing that we are seized of the issues was good enough for our union leaders, and we could conclude this wage settlement online in presence of the labor authorities. This is the power of listening and power of being with people. And I think that this is the best example of managing a situation where conflict would 100% have arisen, but we did not allow it to begin. So that is it. I just can think of this instance where I feel that our HR team did a wonderful job of managing the conflict by just understanding what goes, empathizing, showing compassion where it was required. And that is it. That's what helped us.
That's a great example, Alkaji. I think you touched on another virtue that is quite often not found in many organizations, which is to be a listener, and not just a listener. You talked about deep listening, which really, in many ways, is an art in itself. Thank you so much, Alkaji. I'm now going to invite my very dear friend, Dr. Anupama Gotikamala. Anupama is a pediatric anesthetist at the Children's Hospital of San Antonio in Texas, the United States. And in 39 years, Anupama is only the fourth woman to be elected as president of the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, a very big honor. Anupama, thank you so much for being with us today. I'd like to request you to share your leadership mantras with us.
Thank you so much, Anupam. And it's such an honor and very happy to listen to all these wonderful women who have been successful in their own career fields, different careers, just not healthcare. So, but as we have seen in the healthcare now with the COVID, how the physicians have emerged as leaders. Every physician who served their patients are a leader. And we learned hard way how we performed our best to our patients. That itself is a character of a leader. So I applaud every physician, a women physician especially, who have done humongous service to the human mankind to save so many lives. So let us give our applause to all the women in the world who served, physician leaders. These are the physician leaders, and I thank you so much. So going to my background, personal background, I also came from a very small town in Warangal. It's in the state of Telangana. And I grew up, my dad was an engineer, my mom is a homemaker. But I look at my mom, she is a leader. She controlled the whole house. That's where leadership qualities start from our own moms. They teach us a lot of good qualities, and it starts from your childhood. It's a evolution. Leadership just comes over many years with many life experiences. So we learn a long way before we come to a phase that we are talking in front of, in the world, people are listening to us. So let me share my thoughts about the leadership. So leadership is a quality, inherent quality, I would say. And to be a successful leader, there are so many core values you should have. Either you develop them or you have them inside you already. And some of these core values are the ones to make you a successful person, and people look upon you as a leader. So if you don't follow those, I think that doesn't make you successful to lead an organization, even to, at home, as an employee or anywhere, everywhere you go. These are the qualities I think one should have to prove themselves as a leader. And so to be a leader, I'm right now leading this organization, this physicians organization in United States for Indian physicians. And we have almost about 14,000 physicians here. And our Indian physicians serve almost 10% of the United States physicians workforce. And every 7 patients is seen by an Indian physician. So this is how Indians are in United States, Indian physicians. So I congratulate every Indian physicians who's doing great service in United States, leaving their home countries. And to talk about the leadership, these are my principles I follow every day to be successful all my career. And this term, not only this term as a president of this big organization, but in life, what are those things we need to follow? First of all, you have to be very committed and passionate what you do. So I came through because of my passion. So the passion will lead you, passion will guide you. So this is how you have to be passionate what you're doing. So when you are passionate, you enjoy the work you do. So it's all about how you enjoy the work. So you need to find that enjoyment, and a peace inside you also is very important. Like you have to have that stability and inside mental peace you have to have in order to give your valuable advices to the organization or to the workplace where you are. And honesty is a very important character for us to be successful. Be honest, and that shows the members trust you because of your honesty. So building trust is very important for a leader. So if I don't have that trust, I think nobody will listen to me, even lead an organization. So that's very important, where we strive as leaders to be honest and trustworthy. And transparency also is very important. As Mary Combe said, it's a foundation for us. So that's where you have to be, like, what you do, be transparent, and be very sincere in your daily what you say to the members. And resilience, it's a very difficult thing. We have to be resilient, and we have to be even adapt quickly to the scenario. And that's where leaders we are successful. And empathy is one more character. It's an inherent character. and not everyone has this character. So empathetic and listen to others and appreciate and feel what others. So I always look upon others, like how they feel about when I say something. I go on the other side of the person and say, like, here is what I feel. So that's what you have to express, and you have to show up how empathetic you are, and feel what others feel, and that's how you will understand the other person's feelings, and then that makes you even more resilient and very reachable person. So always be on ground. The another character leader should be, please be on the ground, so when you are on the ground, you work like another worker, you know how the other worker is. So I like to be a worker leader. That's where I always uh, be with my all my members and friends, and so that's how I do, like I work, and then they feel I'm a part of them. So I never cross my boundaries in that level. So these are all the various leadership characters, I think we all need to know and follow. And so I want to just give one quote. Today is International Women's Day, and we are all talking about gender equity. And so this is something I think we all should feel like. This is my personal message as such. Uh, don't feel that you are a woman, and if you think that way, you are just undermining yourself. But just think you are a human, and when you think you are a human, and you can do anything you would like to do, and you don't have any boundaries, and you're free bird, and you can do successfully achieve what you want to do. And Anupam, thank you so much. And this is a wonderful platform to share thoughts. And I truly appreciate Ekta ji. You gave such a wonderful message, and my mom is also, my mentor, and I learned a lot of lessons from her. She's a homemaker, basic. Elementary school education, but she taught me so many principles in life which are very, very useful to me. And my daughter is a physician. She's looking upon me as a role model. So I just, you have to be an example to others. They are looking upon you as a role model. So my kids always say, mom, you are a role model to us. So that makes me really happy at home, that yes, I made a difference for my family. So it's the same thing, like you need to make a difference to the rest of the world. That means you have to have all these core values, which are very, very, very important for us. And Anupam, thank you so much for your time and taking this is a excellent session. I learned a lot of things from the other speakers today.
Thank you, Anupama. So, one question for you: how do you manage feedback? Giving feedback's really hard. Receiving feedback is very hard. So, how do you do that?
Yes, feedback is really very, very important. And, for a student or for an employee or, anyone, feedback is something, it's like a foundation. You learn through the feedback. So, and also feedback improves efficiency and performance in the organization. So that's very important. So getting feedback, so as a student, we get feedback, and that's how we get evaluated, and through that we learn how to perform better. And so that's very important, feedback. And feedback is very important for the leader, and to develop those skills also. Feedback is when, so I get the feedback from my members, and that's how I learn better. I want to perform better. And I listen to these members, and I reciprocate right away. So that's my another strength. Like I reciprocate, I communicate very fast with my members and my friends. That's what they say, Anupama, you always respond very quickly. That's, we like that. So they always recognize that. And also feedback, it improves relationships. So I get the feedback from a person, and I talk to them. That's how I improve my relationship with that person. So that's very, very important, that we need that feedback. And also criticism. So we are scared about criticism. Everybody is like, we like the good feedback when also, but we have to be open to the negative feedback. But I take it positively. Any negative criticism or any negative feedback, I take it positively. So once you take it positively, that makes you a better person and better individual or better leader. So everything has to be taken in a positive way, and that's how you improve yourself. And even the other person recognizes you. Yes, Anupama is like, she always takes it positively. She doesn't, you should not walk away from the situation. You have to boldly face the situation. So I think these feedback is very, very important to us. So I would, any any kind of I get a lot of responses from my members, and so I immediately reply to them, that acknowledging them, and these are very important for a leader. So for a professional growth, I think feedback is very important. All the companies, they all do this. This is a part of my daily career. Like, I have to give feedback to my employer, and my employer also gives me feedback. So it's a mutual thing. Like, so we share our views to them, and they share their views to us. So it's a mutual um, development, and that's how a company can succeed in their productivity, or stability, or anything we can.
Thank you so much, Anupama. It's a privilege to introduce Miss Nimrit Kaur. Nimrit's a well-known actor. Her breakthrough role in The Lunchbox, a critically acclaimed film, brought her into the limelight. Her war thriller Airlift was a super hit, and in 2016 she began portraying Rebecca Yedlin in the second season of the American television series Wayward Pines. She returned to the eighth and final season of Homeland as a series regular in Feb 2020. Nimrit. Nimratji, tell us about your leadership mantras. You're so successful. I'm sure from a very early age you must have had a concept about leadership. So share with us your mantras, please.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here and to be speaking on this lovely topic. I don't know how many of our viewers know that I'm actually an army kid, and I was born to an army officer man. And for me, from the time that I could make sense of the world, I have understood the world and life and perspectives from the point of view of the services. And whatever I have observed about leadership, um, or just the fact that you make a spot for yourself under the sun, because that's where it begins. You don't begin with being a leader. You begin with work, and eventually, if you are true to your service, and if you are true to what you believe in, you kind of command the respect and the status of a leader. And this is something that I have noticed and understood as an army kid. Uh, uh, Growing up, the first and probably the most important thing that I understood was that leadership is really uh, practicing what you preach, number one. If you don't lead by example, and if you're just someone who's glib and uh, clever with um, preaching and teaching the world what they should be doing, I don't think it really registers as deeply and as effectively as it would if you actually practiced what you stand by. And all of us individually as well, I think somewhere or the other tend to emulate or look up to or uh, be inspired by people whom we know uh, lead by example, and who are people who don't just talk and they're doing one thing in front of people in the public eye and are a whole different gamut of things behind closed doors. I think that to begin with is very, very important. um, for instance, when I used to see my father, I used to see how disciplined he was, how loving he was to the people who worked under him. Whether it's the Sevadars or the JCOs or the NCOs, we were brought up with, like a value system where no job was too little a job. No, no no status was a higher status, and hence demands and commands more respect. Everybody had to be respected and treated with dignity, no matter what they did. And that was something that I feel really, really is a massive leadership quality. And that is something I learned from my father. Unknowingly, I think, because he was who he was as a person, he was exemplary in the way he dealt with people under him. Because, quite honestly, all of us are very good at keeping people happy in positions of power and positions of high status, where we know we need to impress them. But I think the true character of a person really gets revealed when you see them with people they don't need to impress, whether it's our staff or, currently in my scenario as an actor, I have, I have a team that works for me, with me. And I feel like it's my responsibility to be uh, fair and um, dignified with them, because not I mean because they are the people who uh, eventually will be in a position to say something about me or feel things about me, not because they will that not because I'll benefit in any way, but because that's the real measure of me as a person. And these are things that that you learn as a kid, as a child growing up, and you don't even realize that they become a part of your fabric. And I'm very, very grateful to the army, to the army life, and how I saw my father around me, um, deal with people and circumstances and situations, where he was never afraid to go right in front and face the problem head on, not, wait for other people to come in and, kind of do the dirty work. He was the kind of person who would get into problem solve. Uh, and before you knew it, there would be hordes of people, or his team would back him. So I really can't insist on it enough how important it is um, to really lead by example. Do what you expect, do unto others what you expect others to do unto you. It's really one of the simplest philosophies we've all read and heard about, and all of that. Um, and the other thing would be that, in my field, criticism is something which becomes a little bit difficult to accept, because, it's such a personal profession, and, it's all you are is your face, your body, your talent, your voice. How people perceive you as a professional, and like or dislike, discard or love, is based so sharply on your skill set and what you bring to the table as a human being. It's very easy to take that personally. You can start to think less of yourself or a lot of yourself. Both things can happen. I think it's very important to take criticism in a way where it does not make you cynical. It inspires you, and it fuels your fire to get better at what you're here to provide, which is entertainment uh, in my case. I don't save the world. I don't go out and I'm not a social servant. I'm not out there to I do something which is actually a service that fills the gaps, whether it's our whether it's entertainment, whether it's just a little relief you might want on a busy day. You put on in-flight entertainment as you're flying somewhere. These are gaps in our lives where we want to forget who we are and where we are and what we do and what our problems are, and what our parents are doing, and where we need to drop someone to a hospital, and who needs to be picked up, and the dogs are not well or the cats are not okay. There's so much going on in all our lives all the time. I think the most lovely part of my profession in that sense becomes the fact that you can just plug into that little time where um, you can provide a relief and an escape. So it becomes very important for me to take criticism well, so that I can fill those gaps to the best of my ability without letting anything go to my head, or letting anything break me, because both things can happen. We're fragile, we are sensitive people, artists, they're they are like that. So it's very, very important to make sure that criticism, doesn't get the better of you. It adds to your life and personality. And I think one of the other things that I would really, really love to highlight here is that as a leader, one should never let importance, status, and power get to your head. um, the optics become very important when you are a leader. What people think of you, how are you being viewed? There is a lot of token charity, and everything becomes for the cameras, and everything becomes about the optics. So it's very, very important to stay true to your values and your intention, and not only be a leader when people are watching, but be one when no one might be able to question you, or look at you, or watch you and observe you and see what exactly you're up to. I think that is very, very important. Uh, and of course, being able to take feedback and incorporating that, whether it's high level organizations or small setups, um, schools, hospitals, colleges. I think it's quintessential to be able to incorporate um, feedback, whether it's negative or positive, in a way that furthers one's brand and one's um, general purpose. So for me, leadership is a whole bunch of things. To stay inspired, to be inspiring, um, to challenge yourself constantly, to be secure, to be authentic and original in your approach. Um, and overall, I think leadership, quite honestly, for me, is being able to unlearn everything that you think is the ultimate uh, truth and the ultimate Bible. Sometimes it becomes very important to keep your ears to the ground and your eyes, you know, clear, and not be fogged by adulation, power, the whole paraphernalia that comes with being a leader, whatever field that might be, success and power, and all of that. I think it's highly, highly important to be able to unlearn and to be able to declutter. So, all of this.
I want to ask you this, in in leadership, one of the big things is you have to be intelligent. Sure, I mean, nobody's denying that. Intelligence is important. But how important is emotional intelligence?
Well, emotional intelligence for me goes beyond textbook wisdom, academic uh, capabilities, ranks, designations. In my personal life, there is nothing beyond emotional intelligence. For me, I feel like what differentiates a sensitive, uh, worthy person, someone who is perceptive, intuitive, uh, nurturing, and someone who can provide you with an environment that makes you want to be around them, is emotional intelligence. And it could exist in our in the lowest common denominator, whether it's our in my field, whether it's our spot boys or drivers or assistants, light boys, anyone. you know it doesn't have to be the number one person on the call sheet, or the top of the pyramid, or the top of the food chain, whatever. It doesn't have to be that. I have noticed and learned to appreciate how immaterial it is. How immaterial, your bank balance is, when it comes to class and dignity and emotional intelligence. And I feel like you can't be classy or dignified if you don't have emotional intelligence. It's kind of like a hand in hand thing. As I've heard somewhere, that the depth of a man is not measured by the width of his wallet. Um, it's all about emotional intelligence for me. How you accept success, how you deal with failure, how you deal with relationships around you, whether it's your personal or your professional relationships, or how you view yourself, how you view the world. And these last two years, I think, have been most life changing in that sense, where we've seen that none of our logics applied to anything. I mean, all of us have created some logic or the other, or some system that, this is what's going to work. If I do this, I won't get COVID. If I don't do this, I will get it. Or then this, that, we've worked out so many things. But finally, what held our sanity together and what kept us going and not crumbling, uh, was the presence of emotional intelligence. I mean, if there is one time in our lives that we can't deny the importance of emotional intelligence anymore, and it's wonderful to see how all kinds of professions have woken up to this. You see, it's a part of my profession to deal with emotions. I am in the business of emotions. Without that, my kitchen doesn't run. I have to understand, what excites a person, what makes someone sad, how to love somebody, how to receive love, all those things. I mean, you kind of like delve into a little bit of human psychology, almost being an actor, which keeps you in touch with your emotions pretty much all the time. But I think the last couple of years really opened that door for all kinds of professionals, whether you were lawyers or doctors or shopkeepers. Emotional intelligence, that's what matters. I'll give you a very small story. um, During the first lockdown, when the world was grappling with what the hell is happening, and I think our lives here on are always going to be in reference to how we managed ourselves somewhere in these last 2 years. So one of the things that I used to do was that every day I used to kind of go out for my groceries. I live alone, so I used to go for my groceries to this supermarket close by, and I used to pick up a coffee from there every evening. And this lovely girl, by by the second or the third week, had become so perceptive about how my day was. And she was a barista. And she used to make my coffee, and she could tell if I'm not okay behind that mask, just with my eyes. And there was a kind of a friendship we formed over those months. And it was all because emotionally she was so intuitive and so intelligent, and she could tell that uh, that I was having a bad day or I was having a good day, or I was. It was just such a beautiful, sensitive uh, kind of a relationship, which I really marveled at, and I will always hold that very dear to my heart. So I feel like without emotional intelligence and that sensitivity, I think we'll all just be functional human beings. That's it.
Thank you so much, Nimrit. Just wanted to share two comments that came our way. One is from Anju in Sydney, and she gives out this beautiful message: harmony in unity and equality, strength in togetherness. And Vardarajan talks about leading from behind, just like Nelson Mandela did. That really brings us to the end of this very nice, stimulating, fascinating session. Today, we heard from some very accomplished ladies who are super successful. Lots to soak in, lots to take home. I hope that the interaction today has left everyone energized, invigorated, and inspired. Happy International Women's Day. Good night.